Hey, my name is David Wayner. I have scaled 3 agencies to 7 figures, and in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to get more people on the phone with you off of ads who actually want to buy your stuff, so you don't have to rely on your sales team to convince people to get across the line. I'm going to be showing this on my iPad, so it's going to be more of a raw style video, similar to how I do for my one-on-one clients. So I'm not going to be doing any sort of retention edits or anything like that. But if you do stick around to the end, I'm going to be showing you a breakdown of our top messaging angles that get the most qualified people coming in. So let's dive in. So essentially, when we look at ads, there's going to be 3 different ways we can actually break these up. So the first one is going to be the not really interested / unaware. Right? And these are people that could, in theory, benefit from your product, but they've got no awareness of why they could benefit from it. They don't know any people in the market, and they aren't really looking for it either. These are going to be the people that industry leaders have to target because of how much they're spending on marketing. So an example of this is Russell Brunson in the online space. He drives a huge number of people onto into the make money online, build funnels kind of sort of industry. And then most people end up eating off of the people he's brought in that then actually start doing it, making money, and then they start buying other products, right? So this is really not what we're going to focus on initially. That's leave that to the really, really big guys that are sort of driving cash into the industry as a whole. Now, the other two, these are going to be ones that you're more likely to be hitting. You've got the needs convinced, right? The convince me audience. These are going to be people that essentially know that they need either a solution or need to solve a problem. This is often like what we classify as like a problem aware, if you want to use Eugene Schwartz's funnel. But the issue here is that they don't know exactly what type of solution they want. So, for example, someone under the needs convinced is someone who's like, I am not getting enough clients in for my remodeling business, right? They are aware of the fact that they need more clients, but if you're going to try and sell them Facebook ads, you need to convince them that marketing is the thing to do that, not word of mouth. And then on top of that, you need to convince them that your Facebook ads is the way to go. Facebook is a good platform. And then you need to convince them that your way of doing Facebook ads / having you as their agency or whatever is going to be the best solution for them. So again, it's a little bit more expensive. And then lastly, you have in market. These are the people that want your thing now. They're already motivated for it. Generally, they're the ones that are already looking for a solution at this very moment. And so someone, a good example of this is, for example, let's say you're going after car detailers. It's guys who have gone and already closed their first couple of detailing clients, see other detailers making more money, and are aware of the fact that you need to have a marketing system to be able to actually scale your detailing business effectively. So this is the one that we're going to be going after first, and the one I'm going to be talking about the most. But then I'll also talk about a couple of nuances in terms of the needs convinced and when to be allocating budget to each. All right, so the makeup for end market is actually relatively simple. I break it into 3 sales. So the 3 sales are overarching problem or solution, being sold on the vehicle, and then being sold on the mechanism. So for end market, you want them already sold on the overarching, right? So instead of having, for example, someone who is running a roofing company, but you need to kind of create awareness of like how much other guys are making for them to be like, shoot, maybe I should be earning more. These are guys that are pretty clear on it. They're like, I have a specific income goal I want to hit personally. I want to net $600,000 a year for myself. And so my business needs to make, for example, $5 million a year based on our margins, right? So they have a clear goal, they have a solution that they're trying to hit, right? That's the first sale that needs to happen, and ideally that's already made because that's more internal, right? They have to kind of come to that conclusion on their own for it to be effective. Then that leads to the next one, which is going to be your overarching vehicle, right? And so there's 2 parts to this, right? So let's say they want more customers. They could, this could be broken into setting up partnerships with other companies, for example, plumbers and restoration companies. They, send clients back and forth. This could be referrals, right? Going to my old clients and hitting them. This could be organic content, SEO, paid advertising. There's a bunch of different vehicles they could use to solve this problem in theory. Then let's say they pick paid advertising again under vehicle. Now we're going to go a little bit more specific. You've got Google ads, you've got Facebook ads, you've got TikTok ads, you've got LinkedIn ads. There's a bunch of different ways, a bunch of different types of vehicles they can sort of get sold on. Again, for in market, we don't want to have to sell them on the specifics. This is for the needs convinced. So these 2 are already checked off for in market. And that leaves the last one, which is mechanism sale. That's what you want to be focusing on with your in market clients and what you're trying to actually sell them on. Take a moment, if you haven't already sort of thought through this, look at what are the overarching goals. And you're not going to have just like one overarching goal for all of your in-market people. This is actually going to go along with kind of how Andromeda works. You're going to be hitting different angles. But I want you to think about the problem awareness or the solution awareness that these people need to have that would make them want to get a marketing system in place, for example, if that's what you're selling. And then I want you to break down why they're sold on the marketing vehicle and the mechanism, right? You want to think through all of it, because again, these 2 need to happen before you ever hop on with them if you want to message properly to end market people, get your best ROAS. So I want you to think about all these sort of preconceived beliefs as to why they want to get more clients and why they think Facebook ads, for example, is the best way to go, and kind of lay out the different subsections of your audience to try and sort of categorize them. And now that you have that, let's go into the specifics you want to be speaking to actually convert them. So first things first, you want them to be obviously in the industry. I think that's very straightforward. So for example, if you're marketing to roofers, they need to be a roofer, right? Super clear. Next thing is proper mindset. So you don't want to message to people that are, for example, looking that feel like marketing doesn't work. Right? I see this is one of the most common mistakes I see made by agency owners is they'll go after guys that are like, they'll be like, have you been burned by your past marketing agency and you spent thousands of dollars on ads and nothing has worked? And you're just trying to find an agency that actually knows how to deliver. Well, here's what we guarantee you, right? That's like a super common angle that I see people use. What you're basically calling out, I want you to think this through properly for a second. What you're basically saying there is, do you just effing suck at converting cold leads? Are you a terrible business owner and you've tried a couple different things and you gave up early and you didn't actually know how to sell people that weren't just ready to go right now? And so as a result, you're looking for a crazy guarantee because you don't actually take any responsibility. Like that's basically the messaging that these guys are doing when they're speaking to that person. And then they'll come to me and they'll be like, David, why are my ads not converting very well? It's like, well, it's super clear. You're speaking to people that don't want your thing and don't believe it works. And so we want to speak to people that already believe, hey, marketing does work. I've seen other companies do this and it's actually functional. And then you also want people that want your specific thing to work. So another example of this, I have a buddy who they run basically YouTube ads for realtors and they do cold outreach to these companies. And they will message realtors who are already making organic YouTube content. They're like, for some reason, our close rate on these guys is super high, right? When we get these people on, right, the one call close rate's really good, the PIF rate's really good. They're kind of asking me like, why is this more effective than when we've tried ads or when we've tried reaching out to people off of Zillow? And it's super clear, right? These people have taken time to organically post content about themselves, which is not an easy thing to do, by the way. Right? It takes time, it takes energy, you have to think through it, it takes effort. These guys have taken the time out of their day to be posting on YouTube because they desperately want YouTube to work and they believe it works. Right. And so that's exactly, again, what you want from in market. You want people who already want the thing to be functional and already believe that it can work. They just may not have found a way to make it work for themselves just yet. All right, so this next part is pretty crafty. By the way, the reason my iPad went dark is the sunset, so flip colors. But what a lot of people end up doing is, first of all, they'll be messaging to an audience that does not believe marketing will work or their thing will work, right? They're messaging to a more skeptical market because they're like, oh, I'm gonna go for people that have tried other agencies because everybody's tried an agency, and then I'm gonna sell them on, hey, we're the ones that'll actually work for you, right? That's the first mistake. The second mistake is then they start to run ads and they'll see, hey, I'm getting a lot of low quality people. So how do I fix that? Well, I need to call out the right type of person, and then I'll get them through. So then they just kind of like, it's so untactical. They just sort of mash these two things together. They're like, are you a roofing company doing over $5 million per year, and you've been burned by a bunch of marketing agencies in the past, and you just want to find something that works? Right. The issue there is, first of all, you're obviously calling out someone who's not in market, but secondly, you're doing what's called a blunt label call out. Nobody in their mind nobody's like constantly thinking about themselves under their like physical technical label, right? So for example, we've got multiple agencies doing 7 figures a year. And so, in theory, if I see an ad that's saying, hey, 7-figure business owners, this is for you, right? Shouldn't that resonate with me? Well, I scroll past that every single time because one, it's super clear it's going to be an ad. Two, yes, I identify as a 7-figure business owner, but at the same time, I know they want to speak to me, probably because I have money, right? But I don't know if they're speaking to anything that's actually relevant to me that will solve a problem I actually have. Just because they're saying this helps 7-figure business owners does not mean it helps me, right? And so that's the issue with a blunt label call out. If you're like, roofing companies doing over $5 million a year, remodeling companies doing over $10 million a year, you're doing this blunt label call out, and it works on a foundational level. Like, you can get some people, but the issue is that when you're going too blunt, like they're going to know it's an ad. Right? And so the only people that are going to stick around are going to be the guys that are like, kind of being lazy and are like, all right, let's see what they have to pitch me, right? The most effective way to message these people is a conditional call out. And you can already qualify who you're going to get through by specifying conditions that are only relevant to your ideal audience. For example, if we have someone that's doing $5 million a year, right, with a roofing business, they're generally going to have probably 10 crews minimum, right? And so if they have 10 crews minimum, then I know, okay, what issues comes with having 10 crews that I can actually solve? Well, okay, they need to be kept busy. Otherwise, they're just waiting around and they might go to a competitor that has more leads, right? They don't want to lose their crews because then they have to go through the hiring headache. So instead of saying roofing companies doing over $5 million a year, what I'm going to do instead is speak to conditions that are most likely relevant to someone who is doing over $5 million a year. For example, the angle I might hit here is like, look, your team already is closing deals. You get a steady flow of referrals, but as you continuously scale, you're not able to keep your crews busy 24/7, right? Okay, that's messaging that's going to resonate with someone in that situation. Another one for me, just to give you an example of an ad that got me. I don't normally click on the ones that say seven-figure business owners, but I had one which was saying, look, you're realistically in a spot where you're spending over $15,000 to $20,000 a week on ads, and you're having to constantly change out creatives, which is taking time away from other parts of the business. Let me show you how we fix that. The people spending that much money on advertising realistically are going to be doing over 7 figures a year, right? So it's only relevant to that demographic, but it's way more potent because that's an issue that like I deal with on a week-to-week basis, right? And that's an issue that a 7-figure business owner is going to deal with on a week-to-week basis, right? Another one would be talking about, look, you're scaling your ad spend, but your systems on the back end for onboarding are breaking down and clients aren't getting enough touch points. That's another one that would be relevant. And so you really want to learn how to speak to the condition of your market as opposed to just calling them out. Because then if you know how to speak to the right conditions, you're going to basically pre-qualify because the only people that listen are the ones in those conditions. And then you message to guys after you call out the right condition, then you message to guys that want your solution to work, if that makes sense. So now that you have a good idea of the different types of callouts, let me run through specific hooks we use when talking to in market that are most effective. The first one is going to be talking about you already know. So an example of this is you already know that your roofing company needs a scalable marketing system to be able to continuously keep your crews busy as you scale the business over the next year, right? You already know. Another example of this is you already know that as you continue to scale your ad spend, you need to get more volume of creatives out, right? Those are both very direct. It's speaking to people that would agree with this. And so Facebook will know generally what the user sort of mindset and what their opinions are on things. It has over 52,000 data points on each user. And so it'll put that in front of people that will resonate with that you already know hook. So that's the first one. Now, the second one would be something like you're doing blank but, right? And this could be, like you're already putting money into advertising, you're already putting money into Google, and you're getting people that have intent and want to buy your service. The problem is that every time you try and crank the budget up, Google caps out on how many people are actually searching for your service. There you go. You're marketing to someone who's in market for advertising, but then has a reason why they might want to look at an alternative. That's a second type of in market hook that works really, really well. And then the third one is going to be a pure circumstantial. So you can do something like, look, your roofing company is already generating $3 to $5 million per year, but you want to boost up your profit margin so that you can personally continue to net more cash and stack up your investment portfolio, right? There again, you're messaging to people that are in obviously a specific situation, and then you can call out a specific desire. So it's a sub condition, right, from a company that's doing X amount, and then it's a condition for a specific type of person doing that amount. And the really cool thing is that by leveraging these three types of end market hooks, what you can do is you can basically separate into 15, 20 different avatars and basically make a hook for each avatar within your campaigns that you run. And then that way, when you launch them, what Facebook's going to do is it's going to put the specific campaign that's most likely to work with that person in front of that person. And that's generally how we see our best results come in, because each ad separately will be put in front of the right audience. And so each ad will get basically the lowest cost for whatever conversion event we're optimizing for. Now, this video will give you everything you need to actually be able to implement this. But if you just want to have this done for you and not have to worry about figuring this out yourself, then there's going to be a link to a calendar below. You can click on that and schedule in to speak directly with me if you want to implement these systems into your business or get consulting on how to actually apply them. Or if you want to learn one of my specific strategies I've used and I see very, very few people actually leverage right now, it's extremely effective for selling to rich people. I'm going to link a video right here that goes over that. And that's about all. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.